Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Physical Therapy Owners Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Robin, and today we have a very special guest, a first-time guest, a new friend of mine, a new coach to the team. His name is Mr. Cory Lee. Cory, what's up,
Yeah.
brother?
Awesome. Well, thanks, Adam. Thanks for letting me join you for a podcast episode. Looking forward to our conversation and really just honor and looking forward to maybe adding value to your listeners today.
Heck yeah. I'm all about some value, man.
Let's go.
Man, I've really enjoyed, this is our third time this week we get to get on a call together.
Yeah,
Been
right.
fun,
I'm
huh?
blessed, man. Blessed.
Yeah, it's been
Tell
cool.
my
It's been
wife
cool.
all the time. Hashtag blessed life. You know?
Hashtag blessed. It's awesome how you just man, you just be present with people, give value to people, and then you come into contact with new people and possibilities just change, right? It's fun. It's fun. Tanny introduced us.
Yeah.
Tanny said, "Man, you got to meet this guy, Cory." I'm like, "Who's this guy, Cory? What's so special about this guy?" You
Yeah.
know? And then you came in, you gave a leadership talk to some of our clients, and I got to listen to it. It was amazing. And through a series of conversations, we decided maybe it would be fun for you to help coach some of our coaching clients.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be super cool to bring you on, listen to what you have to say, and maybe give you some space to introduce yourself and talk about your story and talk about how you help people. What do you say? You want to do it?
Man, that sounds great. Looking forward to it, Adam.
Tell us what you're about, man. Tell us where you're from, what you're about, and yeah, let the people know a little bit about Cory Lee.
Yeah. So originally from North Mississippi, actually live there now, but my wife and I, we got married. We moved to Alabama, then to South Mississippi, Phoenix, Arizona, and then back to North Mississippi. And in a 5-year period of time, we built 2 physical therapy clinics, built 4 gyms, had 3 kids, sold all the businesses and kept all the kids. And now I do leadership training and development and really love that. Get the opportunity to go in and work with really teams all over the country. And one of my passions is to help people be good at what they do, but great at who they are, right? Like develop that inner game, being bigger on the inside than on the outside. And
Mm,
we do that through speaking, training, coaching, all that fun stuff. But my story is really from here in North Mississippi. I was raised at an early age by my mom and my grandmother. That's because when I was 3, my dad took a note, taped it to the door of our single wide trailer, and let my mom know that he was moving to Chicago with another lady.
mhm.
And she got the opportunity to raise a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old on her own, but she wasn't on her own, Adam. She had my grandmother. And I can still hear my grandmother's voice to this day. We'd be at her house and she'd say, "Boys, get out here." And we'd get up, we'd walk through her house, Adam, and in her carport, she would have her car jacked up with the driver's side tire laid over. And she would say, "Pick it up, put it back on." And, I'm like 5 trying to lift this tire. I can't even lift the tire. I mean, she would have us in the bathroom, hovered over her toilet, trying to unclog toilet. There was nothing wrong with the toilet, right? But she was living out that old John Wooden quote that says, "When opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare." And I share that because one of the things that is a value of mine is I say it is to be a seeker, a seer, and seizer of opportunity, right? But you got to be ready when that opportunity comes. And we've had a lot of transitions in our lives, but each time those transitions came, we were ready to take action on that. And so that's a little bit about my journey, super quick aerial view. But I've been in the physical therapy world. I graduated PTA school when I guess it was 2006. And even though I've transitioned out of treating, I still do a lot within the industry and just obviously love what we do. So yeah.
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome. I love a few things that you mentioned, good at what you do, but great at who they are.
Yeah,
Isn't that
man.
awesome, man?
It is.
There's a few other ways to say that I've heard other people say that, but um, I've heard it said leadership is less about what you do and it's more to do with how you think,
That's
right?
good.
And it's kind of the same way of similar way of saying that. So tell me a little bit of let's talk a little bit more about that, right? Let's talk a little bit more about that because I think that's an important topic because you've been coaching for a while now, and so have I, and so you've worked with people. And what I have found is that we have way more similarities than we do differences in this world, right? People are people in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But one common theme that I've seen is that people just want they want the what do you call it? They want the what. They want the what,
Yeah.
right? They want the checklist.
Hmm.
They want the like, man, just give me the blueprint. Give me the give me the what else do they want? Give me the they're like give me the step-by-step instructions on how to be great,
Yeah.
right? It's like what you tell them what they want, but then you give them what they need, right? And so, but what you're saying is like it's not necessarily about what you do, but it's more about who you are. So how do you help people? How do you help people with that?
Yeah, man. Like this is just a me thing, Adam. I think I truly believe that every person's been created on purpose for a purpose. That people they ain't no accidents. People aren't accidents, mistakes, or failures. Those are events, not identity statements. And so one of the biggest things I found, and I found this because it happened to me, but understanding identity, if we don't understand that, we work for it, and usually it's in comparison to other people instead of working from it. And here's an example. When we were starting to, my wife and I, we were looking at opening up our first PT clinic. I can remember, Adam, man, I did all my research. I had my little notebook. I had everything written down. I had how many people were in our town. Adam, we opened up a PT clinic in a town of 1,100 people,
Mm-hmm.
1,000 people.
Yeehaw.
That's right. That's right. And I knew how far the other PT clinics were, all this stuff, and we were ready to go. And I remember I drove around, and I remember driving around, and I saw, on the doors, it has all their credentials,
Mm,
right? Their signs, it has all their credentials. And I remember looking at those credentials like, man, that's the doggone alphabet out behind every one of their names. I mean, look at these guys, like that's amazing. I can't compete with that. I can't compete with the alphabet. And
right.
I was really discouraged. And I remember walking into the house when after I did this, and I told my wife, like, I'm just gonna put my stuff up. We're not even gonna look at it because I mean we can't compete with people who got the alphabet behind their name. I'm just a PTA. And you just graduated PT school like 3 months ago, right? We can't compete with these people. And she so nonchalantly said something I thought was very powerful. It was a powerful learning lesson for me. She said, but you know how to make people feel good. And it was in that moment that I realized that I had fallen into this trap that I see a lot of us fall into, and it's the comparison trap. And see, I knew a lot of those PTs, and they were awesome people, and they're awesome at what they do. But you know what? I'm awesome too.
Yes, dang right you are.
Like in my own unique way, I've got my
Mm.
own things that I do that bring value to people, and a lot of times we get caught in this comparison trap of comparing ourselves to other people, and we look at their outcome and say that should be my outcome, and so I think one of the things is helping people discover identity. And actually, I had a mentor say one time, he said, Cory, when you get to heaven, God ain't gonna ask you why you weren't more like Mother Teresa. He's gonna say,
Right.
why weren't you like you? Why weren't you more like the Cory Lee I designed and created you to be? And so helping discover identity and working from that instead of for that. And that's sometimes a process in of itself too, but that's a powerful piece of it. Yeah.
You know what you're talking some powerful stuff, man. And to be honest, it's been more recent for me personally that I've started to uncover my identity, probably
Yeah.
within the last year or two. And man, whenever you can step into a place of like authenticity, it's like you can be like your most bold and authentic self. It's like there's a lot of freedom there
Yeah.
and so much power. It's like I am who I am, and if you don't, and it's like when you step into that place unapologetically, you start to attract things to you, right? Like the people start gravitating toward you, the patients start coming to you, the referrals start coming in, your clinic starts to grow, right? Um,
I'll say this on that as well. I got invited to this Dave Ramsey like influencer thing, right? And we got to meet all their main personalities. And and each one of them said that same thing in their own way. Like if you follow Dave Ramsey or anything, or you see their personalities, each one of them have a very unique personality, and they own that. And they talked about the power in that of just being you, right? Not trying to
Hmm.
be anybody else, but you said it's going to attract certain people and certain things into your life, and you're going to be much happier too. Uh, but what you said, you starting to discover that, I think it is a journey, right? Like I'm still doing that too,
Hmm.
but it's a
Hmm.
journey.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I heard somebody describe it as no, let's say what else, you'll never be better at anything than you will at being yourself.
Mm, there you go.
You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I'm not skilled enough. Like, okay, well, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, nobody's gonna be as good at being you than you. And
Mhm.
it's like, as soon as you figure out what that is, it's like you immediately create a niche. You create an advantage. You create something that nobody else has, right?
Yeah.
And that's your culture, that's your buzz, that's your company, right?
So one
Amazing.
last thing on that is
Yeah.
a realization that I came to is, when I try to be somebody else, all I can ever hope to be is a knockoff brand of the original, right? Like if I try to be Adam, if I try to be just like Adam, I'm just a knockoff brand, right? Like
Hmm.
like I'm the Equate brand is what
Right.
happens, right? Like
That's right.
everybody's an original, but um, yeah, man, that's good stuff.
Good stuff. I want to talk about being prepared
Hmm.
because you made a point, I think, to really let us know that you were prepared. Tell me about that. Like, tell me about where that comes from and like why being prepared is so important to you in success.
Man, it's I'm gonna try to say this very, very quick and succinct, right? Because it
Okay.
could be a 2 hour thing, right? But I'll wait until it's not a strategy for success, right?
Mm,
Like a lot of people say, I'll wait until I become a leader to start learning leadership principles. I'll wait until I open up my clinic, and then I'll start owning my responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll start to, whenever I own my own clinic, then I'll take better care of all this stuff, right? I'll treat it like it's mine. But what I have found is that it's a biblical principle. But if I treat the small things as if it's a big thing, I'll be ready for the big thing when the big thing comes. And it's a powerful thing, right? If I can be trusted with that small thing, I can be trusted with the big thing as well. So I'll wait until it's not a strategy for success. And it's just honestly, my grandmother, I guess, instilled it in us at a very, very early age of being prepared when that moment comes.
mm,
Um, I I think I heard Andrew Carnegie talk about, if I didn't tithe on my first $100, there's no way I would have tithed on my first million.
right. Right.
Like you
Right.
develop the habits now, whenever that moment comes. We've seen all kind of people who've won the lottery, or maybe athletes who become millionaires overnight, and then 5 years later they're dead broke because they hadn't become a
Mm,
million. You develop the character and the nature in the process.
hmm.
And everybody wants to, they want the trophy, they want the prize, they want to hold up the trophy and say, "Man, I did it," but they don't love the process. But it's in that process that we become the type of people that when that moment comes, we can stand under the weight and the responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah.
Because and our listener, we're talking to PT owners, right?
Hmm.
You guys know there's a responsibility that comes with being an owner, and a lot of times people want the perks but they don't like to pay the price. And so
Yes.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's funny how I got a few things I want to say about that. It's funny how whenever you talk to owners and they're like, I want more referrals or I want to open up a second location. I want to open up
Mhm.
2 clinics.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you sure you're ready for that? You know what I mean? It's like, you sure you're ready? Because that doesn't come without a price, buddy.
that's right.
It doesn't
Yeah.
come without a price. Are you ready to pay that price? Hopefully somebody gets value out of this. But in our training, we, vision is a big piece of leadership, right? Like being able to cast vision and be able to like get clear on what your vision is. And a lot of people, like you said, get it backwards. We call it be, do, have. You have to become the person so that you can do the thing so that you can have what you want. Right? It's
Mhm.
like be, do, have. You become first so you can do, and then you can have, right? And a lot of people get it backwards. They think it's what have, do, be, right? It's like once I have it, then I'll do the thing, and then that will allow me to become the person. It's like, no, like if you want $1 million clinic, let's start acting like $1 million clinic.
Yes.
Like, what does $1 million clinic owner look like? Well, he probably has his calendar dialed in. He's probably having weekly team meetings. He's probably turning his phone on silent during the day when he's with his patients. He's probably working on his business and training. He's probably spending time with his family, taking care of his health. It's like, that's what it,
Mhm.
let's behave and become the person that you need to be in order to get that. So I'm all about that, man. That's awesome.
Like you asked the question, where did I learn that? And part of it was grandmother, but also you mentioned Tanny. I learned a very powerful lesson from Tanny. All
Yeah.
right. So I worked for Tanny for about 3 years, and it was a great time. And it came time for my performance review. All
Uh-oh.
right. And in my performance review, the way we did it, if you got a 4, hey, that's above average, 3 average, 2 below average, and 1, you probably need to find something else to do with your life, right?
Mhm.
So it came time for mine, and he marked me a 3 on everything. Average. I said, this man done called me average. I'm gonna show, you know what? I'm gonna show this man average. I can't believe he called me the A word. I'm gonna turn in my 6 month notice, and I'm
Mhm.
moving to Phoenix, Arizona. That's what I'm gonna do. 6 month notice, and that's what we did. And talking to Tanny now, he doesn't even remember doing it. He just remembers he didn't even check. He just checked stuff. But it was a powerful lesson, and here's why: because what it allowed me to see was, see, in our area of giftedness, I can choose just to show up and wing it, or I can work for it, right? And a lot of times in our area of giftedness, we can, because we're good at it, people will still pat us on the back and say, good job, good job. And I'm the only one that knew, like I was the only one that knew that I was really just showing up. I wasn't really working for it. So I had to make it, help me to see that if I wanted to be that $1 million clinic instead of just somebody who just shows up, then I needed to start acting like it now. Right. Like, was I going to be average? Was I going to take the talent that I have and just show up and wing it? Or was I going to work for it? And it was really just a powerful lesson for me in continuing to be ready, continuing to grow and make growth a huge value of mine, that I'm going to work on that every day. So when those moments do come, that I can step into it. And so, yeah,
But that stuff's hard, Cory.
it is, and it's not always fun.
That stuff's hard, man. You're asking me, I gotta work hard. I gotta do, what are you talking about? You know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
yeah,
can I not just clock in and do my work and go home?
you can if you just want to stay where you're at. So,
Right. Who's it? Jim Rome? Jim, is it Rome or Roan?
oh, Jim Rohn, yeah, I like some
Roan.
Jim
Old
Rohn now.
school stuff, man.
Yeah.
He said one time, I'm gonna butcher it. Sorry, Jim. Something about learn to work harder on yourself than you do your job.
Mm, yeah.
And dude, it's so true. I can recall, and the cool thing about coaching, everybody has their own path of personal development. People find it in coaching, people find it in church, people find it in family, people find it in hard work, right? You can find it everywhere as long as you're looking for it. But I found it through business and coaching.
Mm,
And I can tell you what, I had a period of about a year where I just kind of went off the grid and I just studied myself, studied my behavior, studied my thoughts, studied the way that I was, showing up, the energy that I was allowing myself to have at work and why. And I decided that I wanted to start thinking differently.
mm,
And whenever I tell you what, that was the best year of time spent ever. Like literally after that year, my business tripled. My family became, I mean, my marriage went, just got so much, I got closer to my kids, right? I made more money. And it's amazing how you are the answer. You know, like you really are the answer. The unfortunate part about that is you're also the problem. But the fun part is that you're also the answer, right? And that's why I love having you on our team. And that's why I love this coaching program because it's all about helping you realize you are the answer. You know what I mean? And as soon as you can realize that, as soon as you have that switch that goes off, that's like, oh, actually, I can do whatever I want and I can create whatever I want. And there are no limitations and there's nothing but endless possibilities. It's like, that's whenever things start turning around. That's whenever your clinic grows. That's whenever you start attracting candidates to your place, right?
Absolutely, man.
Good
Yeah.
stuff, man. You also mentioned earlier, you know how to make people feel good.
Mm.
Is that something that you learned over time, or is that something you were kind of naturally born with? Like, how did you learn that skill?
Yeah, I've actually had a couple other people ask me something like that. I think, I don't know if it's a natural thing or what, but it's genuinely being interested in other people. Like I think you have to have that, especially in our world, the PT world. You got to truly care about people. People can tell if you just tolerating them, if you just putting up with them, or if you actually care about them. And so I ask a lot of questions. Like if you and I were chilling at the coffee shop, I would probably ask you a lot of questions because I'm genuinely interested in your story. I really am. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to figure you out, whatever. I'm just genuinely interested in you. And so I don't know if that's something I've always had or just maybe even learned, but also I guess I have learned some of it. We talk about what's people's favorite topic themselves.
Yeah,
We talk about what's people's favorite word, their name, right? And so knowing that too, I mean, it plays into that, but I am genuinely interested in other people. I'm gonna share a super quick story. We had this guy
sure.
that goes into this. We had this guy come into our PT clinic one day, and Adam, this dude was rough looking, right? Like he big, tall, lanky white dude, had long, scraggly hair, looked like he hadn't had a bath in 8 months, and he was hard. He was hard, right? Had tattoos all over his face. I'm not saying anything about tattoos or anything, but had a little teardrop tattoo, had a
Oh
long
yeah.
pinky fingernail,
Oh, that's
long
when it's
pinky
on.
fingernail. Dude comes in. Look, this dude comes in with a gun on his right hip,
Oh,
a
buddy.
big Bowie knife on the left hip, and a badge around his neck, talking about how he can carry these things. And he would come in like, "Why I gotta do 10 minutes on the bike? Why I gotta do 30 of this?" Right? Like it's like, man, I'm gonna find something on this guy. And so like I was genuinely really wanting to connect with him. And so I just asking questions. I'd ask him questions. And eventually I find out he spent time in Phoenix, Arizona. I was like, I got him now. I got
Yeah.
him now. And I was
Mhm.
like, and so, oh wow, man, we lived in Phoenix too. It's like, what did you like to do? And well, I like to hike. Dude, I did too. Where'd you hike at? Well, I like Camelback. I was like, what? We live right by Camelback, right? And I just went down that. And there's a communication principle called the 101 principle. And what the 101 principle says, let's find the one thing we have in common and
Mm,
give it 100% of our attention until
mm,
we develop common ground.
mm.
And so I intuitively realized that principle, and I learned it. It's a principle, the 101 principle. Find the one thing we have in common, give it 100% of our attention until we develop common ground. That's what I did with that guy. Found the one thing we had in common, which was Phoenix, Arizona. And I just hammered it out until we developed common ground. And then you know what? Once we developed common ground, man, we were able to talk about other things. And I found that I actually had some other things in common with him. Now there were a lot of things I didn't have in common with,
Yeah.
but his whole attitude changed. You could see the walls come down. He shifted from, well, I gotta do this to, hey, Mr. Corey, I'm done with the bike. What I got
Yeah.
next? Like,
Yeah.
dude, more than I was calling me Mr. Corey.
Yeah.
And taking a genuine interest in other people, I think is part of that. Yeah.
You're a smart guy, man.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I just go with it.
Well, I'm the reason why I brought that up is because listen, everybody has their own ideas on how to grow a company, grow a business. I mean, there are people at it in this world that are way better at me than than I am, but I'm pretty dang good at it too.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is that People don't remember what you do for them. They remember how you make them feel.
100%. Yeah.
Period. Write that down. Put it on the sticky note, right? People don't remember what you do for them. They don't care about your clinical skills. They don't care about your manual therapy skills. They don't care about how many degrees of knee flexion you got them. They don't care. All they care about is how you make them feel, right? So like if me and Cory are competing clinical physical therapists and we're across town and Cory is this this clinical expert with all the alphabet behind his name, right? But he's got the personality of a cat's ass. Sorry, I can say ass on this.
Mm.
But let's say you get him 130 degrees of knee flexion, but he comes to me.
Mm.
Maybe not as many credentials, but maybe I implement the 101 principle, find common ground with him. I help him feel good, and maybe I only get him 120 degrees. Who do you think he's coming to see next time?
Mm. Going to my man Adam.
That's right. Every time. Every time. So the degree in which you can help people like you is an important characteristic of an owner.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important characteristic, right? Have you mentioned Dale Carnegie, and I'm assuming I know you've read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And a fantastic, I mean, the guy built an empire on this principle, how to win friends and influence people, how to get people to like you. That's how he built his whole company, right?
Yeah.
The other book that comes to mind is Crucial Conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read that one?
I've got that in my list on Audible, but I have not read that one yet.
I'm gonna be honest, I forgot who wrote it, but it's a great book about crucial conversations, risky conversations, conversations that aren't so comfortable all the time. And one of the first principles in that book is develop an area of common ground.
Mm.
Right? So as soon as you can create, what you don't want to do in those situations is make it a me versus you. Right? What you want to do is find an area of common ground that aligns with both of our goals and then fight towards that.
Mm.
Right. And then then that then becomes more about teamwork and collaboration and less about conflict. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said too about, getting people to like you and those kind of things. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't really need people or anything like that. But the reality is you do need people, and people will not go along with you if they cannot get along with you. People won't go along with me if they cannot get along with me. Right. And so it's such a powerful principle. Yeah.
Well, you can exchange the word like and just put the word trust.
There you go. Yeah.
If you don't like the word like, put the word trust. Maybe I don't like you, but I trust you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, that's good.
Got another question for you.
Let's go.
And this is kind of an open-ended question just to kind of see where it goes, but you've worked with practice owners, business owners all across different industries. And for those who are listening, I'm just going to let everybody know that no matter what industry you're in, business is business, and it comes with very similar challenges across all the industries. Whether you're a plumber or a contractor or a coach or whatever you do, it's all the same stuff. So what I want to know from you, Cory, and I think we covered a lot of it, but we may have missed a few things. But my question for you is, what are some of the mindset hurdles that you see most often in business owners, what are some of the challenges that you really, really enjoy helping owners overcome?
Yeah, that's good, man. Honestly, as I've reflected on my own journey and working with leaders in all these industries, I found there actually are common. I've distilled them down to about 5 or 6 common barriers, right? It's five or six common ones, right? And so one of them,
everybody get your pencils out.
Yeah. The one is that comparison trap that we talked about. But not only do we compare ourselves to other people, but here's the bigger piece of that is we compare our potential to our current results. We compare what we're capable of to what we currently achieved. And so what happens is, like, we'll take a look at this. Let's say I got this big idea flashing into my mind. So maybe I've got one clinic. I've got this idea to, how do I get to 5?
Right.
And I look at my current results and I say, ooh, that's big.
I'm a loser.
Yeah, I'm a loser, right? Like that's big. That's too big. I can't do it. I've never done anything like that before. And what I like to do is like if you're in your room, like take a look around your room. Like, would you say your room's big or small? If you're driving in a car, is your car big or small? And then the reality is compared to what?
Right.
Right? Is my room here compared to my bathroom is kind of big compared to maybe the arena downtown. This is kind of small. The room didn't change, but what I compared it to did change. And so the same thing with this big idea, it's not big or small, it just is. And hopefully it is bigger than my current results. But what we tend to do is we compare our potential or we compare what we're capable of to what we've currently achieved. And so that is a barrier as well. And so what I like to say is like this inspired idea, like anything's possible. Anything is possible. If you doubt that, just go outside at night and look up at the moon
Hmm.
and realize that there are footprints on the moon, right? Like, well, I even got it right there behind me.
Yeah, you do.
Unless I don't know what they teaching these kids in school today. My daughter came in and says she thinks that was a hoax, but
The earth is flat. What are you talking about?
yeah, I know, right? But that comparison trap, not only comparing to other people, but comparing to our current results, and so anything is possible. Well, that's why I'm a huge believer. I am a coach, right? But I also receive coaching. That's power in having somebody come alongside of you that not only embraces who you are, but believes in who you can become, right? And sometimes you just need somebody who's not attached to the work to see it from the outside, from a different perspective, to come alongside them. You help you figure out some paths to get there. Like I believe if you at one, you can get to five, but there's a journey to get there, right? And
Hmm.
so that's one of them.
And it's
Uh,
less of a strategy and more of a personal journey.
yeah,
More of a
yeah,
personal journey, right?
absolutely.
Once you become, then you get it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it.
That's good. I'll just say one or two more, but another
Sure.
one is you even mentioned it just a second ago. Imagination, incorrect use of imagination. So one of my favorite books is called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You ever read that?
Yeah, I've read a little bit of it. I always tell people read the first six chapters, and then it gets kind of muddy. But
Yep,
I
yep.
read about half of it.
Okay, gotcha. Well, in that book, what he does, he spends 20 years studying the lives of 25,000 people, 500 wealthiest, most successful people in the world at that time. But anyway, in one of the chapters on imagination, he said man's only limitation within reason lies in the development and the use of their imagination. And I thought about that, right? Like development and use. So here's the thing is we all have an imagination and we all use our imagination. I can use my imagination to come up with all the reasons why something's going to fail. I can use my imagination to say all the reasons why something's not working out or why it won't work out or I can use my imaginations to put a how in front of the can I. How can I?
Hmm.
And so, when I lay in bed at night and I'm worrying, I'm actually using my imagination. He says man's only limitation within reason lies in the development and the use of their imagination. And so, one of the barriers I see is incorrect use. We spend more time focusing on all the negative aspects of imagination rather than taking it into the workshop of the mind and say, if this is possible, how would it be possible? If I can, how can I? And so that's another one. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. The comparison trap. Have you read Dan Sullivan's stuff at all?
Um, what is that? Who not how?
He wrote Who Not How. He also read a book called The Gap and the Gain.
Mm, I haven't
You,
read that one.
you ought to check that out. It's a really good book. Um, and in that book, he talks about the comparison trap.
Mm,
And he talks about it's funny how Dan Sullivan, the guy's a genius millionaire coach, and he's still talking about mindset stuff, right? But he talks about the mistake that people make is comparing themselves to where they want to be.
mm,
And it's there's always a gap.
interesting.
There's always a gap there. And so you're comparing yourself to that gap instead of comparing yourself to where you've come from.
Ah,
which there's a gain there. So like, that's why it's always so important to debrief your experience and look back and debrief your experience. So that way you can learn and realize what are your wins. What's why we always start with our wins, right? So you are making progress. Maybe it doesn't feel like progress because you're comparing yourself to where you want to be, but you are making progress. And it's important to remember that.
It's
The
such a positive.
the imagination principle is big too. Uh and I like to say you get what you're looking for. You're gonna
Yeah.
find what you're looking for.
Mhm.
If you're looking for limitation, if you're looking for excuse, if you're looking for fear, you're gonna find it.
Mhm.
But if you're looking for possibility, if you're looking for abundance, right, you're gonna find that too. Right. So choose choose wisely because it's important. And the question I love to ask myself is what needs to be true in order for us to achieve this?
Mhm.
And most of the time, when you ask yourself that question, you really give yourself like you're really brave enough to ask yourself that question,
Yeah.
then you'll realize the answers to those questions are so simple. Like it's like this whole time you haven't made action on XYZ because you're worried about something that doesn't even matter or that's not even true. Right.
Mhm.
And whenever you can let those things go, you start operating from more of a place of abundance and possibility. And next thing you know, you got a clinic full of patients.
That's it, right? Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, Cory, I, man, an untraditional podcast. We didn't talk a lot at all about physical therapy clinics, but the guy knows a ton about that stuff too. So much so that he's actually joined our team. He's going to start coaching some of our clients, uh, helping them with leadership principles, helping them uncover that their identity, and helping them apply some of the strategies to help actually help them find more of what's most important to them in their business and in their life, right? So how do people get in touch with you if they have questions? Like where would somebody go to find you?
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm on all the social media platforms like Facebook, all of it. Cory Lee Leadership. You can email me at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com or even at Cory@PTOclub.com. Either one of those two. And I'd be happy to get out to you. Would love to serve you guys. And uh, I would love to be a resource. Any way to serve you, you're not going to bother me by reaching out. So Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com or Cory@PTOclub.com, either one of those. And
Sound
love to connect.
sounds great, man. Yeah, and for those who are listening, remember check out the Facebook group. The Facebook group is growing. It's happening. The movement's there. There's so many smart people in that group. You can get so many of the questions that you're looking for answers are in that group. So join the Facebook group, Physical Therapy Owners Club. If you have questions, you can shoot me an email, adam@ptoclub.com. I'm very active in that group, so you can always find me and shoot me over a DM. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Cory, appreciate it, brother. Let's do this again in the next couple weeks, next couple
Hey, I'd
months.
love to. That'd be great.
All right, brother. Let's
Love
stay in
to talk.
touch. I'll talk soon.
Thanks.